as part of the land swapping and some of our agreements, I thought it was a good time to talk to the board about our relationship with the city about these TIF agreements. And so, Mr. Salters, if you would, because he hasn't had enough to do tonight, I figured one other thing was good. So,
yep, be glad to update you. And so, I think most of you were probably not on the board, or some of you were not on the board when these agreements were entered into. So you may not be very aware of what is going on. So I wanted to kind of highlight these for you. We have two TIF agreements with the town of Lexington, TIF being tax increment financing arrangements. The first of these agreements is Ice House. And so this is the TIF district. And so when you enter into an agreement, typically a TIF agreement is used to revitalize an area that has seen underdevelopment and maybe some decline over the years. And so we were approached about establishing a TIF district in the downtown area of Lexington. So we got Main Street here, and then South Lake, North Lake right here. So the courthouse would be right here. And so this area and these parcels make up that TIF district. And basically, I'll give you a rundown. There were two primary purposes for that development. And the first was Project Ice House, which is the Ice House Amphitheater. That has been a very successful venture for the town. And the second project was development of the Old Mill Pond Trail. That was not very successful to this point because that Old Mill Pond Trail was supposed to go around the beautiful pond there at the mill, which got wiped out in the 2015 flood. So that actually is on the books again, and they are they've done some work with the dam and are in the process of getting that rebuilt, and so that Old Mill Pond Trail around the dam and that mill pond is back in play. And so just a few highlights of the agreement. It was initiated in 2014. Our school debt service funding was excluded from the agreement. And so we set a maximum amount or limitation of our tax increment. That was $3.4 million. And the planned duration, it sunsets in 2029. And basically, to this point, to June, which was the last update the town had prepared, we have essentially given up $145,000 of revenue to contribute towards that borrowing effort for the town to sell the bonds to be able to do the construction of that amphitheater and whatever engineering work they've done on the mill pond there. So we're a good ways away from the $3.4 million maximum cap. And that should really start to pick up some as we see some other development. And really the idea behind this is that you hope that this will spur development in the area, and you've seen businesses come in there, Aladia's and, the O'Hara's Pub and some other things that have come in recently and been very successful. Do what?
We're getting axe throwing.
Axe throwing. And so some other businesses that are coming in and really spurring that development. So that's the idea behind this concept. So it has been effective to this point with the Ice House area. And so another TIF that we were approached about entering into was the Corley Mill Redevelopment TIF District. And this area is an area specifically located across the street from River Bluff High School. This is all River Bluff High School. Fry Road is right here, so our property starts here and flows down, basically down to the creek here. And so this was a very specific area. This was what used to be the Corley Mill Duck Club in the duck pond. And so when you ride down Corley Mill Road and you cross that bridge where this is where a lot of the flooding frequently occurs in that area. But this area was slated as the TIF district, and so there really hasn't been a lot of development there yet. But the idea behind this TIF was to provide for construction of roadway improvements along 378 and Corley Mill. And so the main reason the district agreed to enter into this TIF was to be a good partner and try to support the road improvements in that area, demonstrating our impact on those roads every day. This agreement was initiated in 2017. Again, we exclude our debt service from this. This particular increment limit was $3.8 million, and it actually goes out to 2036. And so to date, we've only contributed $6,400 worth of revenue as of June 30 to this increment. So really not a lot of development has occurred in this area, so we're not seeing the owner-occupied revenue that would come from that. And so the current project that they're working on that will be funded from this is the Sunset Split, as they call it. And basically that's where it's a similar concept to what we worked on a number of years ago, where there's a road that goes behind McDonald's and kind of picks up, would start kind of at the Corley Mill intersection and go behind the bank there and the branch bank, and then in front of the TD Bank warehouse area there, and come out basically down there at the Murphy gas station. You would be heading towards Lexington on a two-lane road that does that, and then the other lanes would be going towards Columbia. So it's just creating additional capacity for in and outbound traffic, and so that's a plan that they're working on now, and that's kind of the next target to be funded from this TIF whenever the funding comes in. So
it's kind of funny, we begged them to do that 10 years ago, that exact plan.
yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of where we are with those two. They'll be around a long time, and ultimately we'll hopefully do some good work in those areas. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about those two TIF agreements.
Any questions, board? Okay, thank you, Mr. Salters, good information.